Holy smokes, everyone. While everyone is distracted, a major country's stock market and their currency is crashing right now. I don't see anyone covering this story at all, and it's a major news story that's happening right now. And while this country is collapsing, what's leading to their country's currency, what's leading to their stock market to crash, could happen in another major economy like the US or Australia. Because these major economies are getting very, very complacent with governments taking on so much more debt and devaluing their currency. And once that trust and faith is lost in the system, we could see things change overnight. So everybody, what country is crashing right now? What's leading to this? And what is going to be the consequences for the global economy? Because we do live in a globalized economy now where if one country goes down, it has domino effects across the whole world. Well, that's exactly what we're going to cover in today's video. So let's not waste any time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get straight into the news, the facts, and the data. Well, okay, could have you have guessed it, everyone? Turkey right now is in absolute chaos as one of Erdogan's political rivals has been arrested. So I'm not an expert on Turkey's politics, but I will go over what's happening to their economy, which I do have a lot of expertise on, and how this is going to affect the US markets and how likely something like this could happen here, because I don't think you're really aware of how bad things are getting. So Turkey limits travel in and out of Istanbul to curb protests. So authorities have also extended a ban on demonstrations after hundreds of thousands of people across Turkey took to the streets to call for the arrest of Ekrem, the mayor of Istanbul and the president of Recep Tayyip Erdogan's most popular rival. So this is what kicked off a lot of the tensions and the protests and the market chaos in Turkey, where a lot of people are losing faith in their political system, even though it was never great in the first place, but they are seeing things very, very quickly deteriorate. Now, Istanbul's governor said Saturday evening that people who are suspected to be on their way to rallies would not be allowed to enter or leave the city, and the governor also announced that the ban on protests, which was set to expire on Sunday, will instead continue through March 27th. Now, this is where things get really crazy. So tensions have escalated over the past week after Imamoglu was taken into custody on accusations of corruption and terrorism. Having defeated President Erdogan's nominee twice in local elections, he is widely seen as the most powerful contender should Erdogan decide to run again, and the next presidential election is scheduled for 2028. So that's what started all this, but we need to know what the market consequences of this. Well, as we can see here, it's led to market turmoil. So markets have been unnerved by the developments, and Turkish assets posted some of the world's biggest decline after his detention. Now go ahead here. We can see the Turkish lira over the past 5 years, it has been tanking. But when we look on the 5-day chart here, or the 1 month chart here, we can see here on Tuesday, the 18th of March, it absolutely tanked, and it's just continuing to get worse and worse. We can also see here the BIST 100, the BIST 100, over the past 5 days is the worst performing stock market, or has had the biggest declines over the past 5 days, down 16%. So the mayor, who runs a city of some 16 million people, was set to announce his presidential candidacy at his primary on Sunday, but he was denied. He has denied the allegations, saying that they were politically motivated, and Erdogan's government said that they had no role in a judicial investigation targeting the mayor, which time will tell with that. Now, obviously, like we said earlier, this has led to a lot of protest. Erdogan said that protests will not be tolerated. So this is some people leading to think that maybe he's starting to act more authoritarian, which we've seen a shift in a lot of leaders over the past few years. But okay, let's dive a bit deeper into what's really happening in the markets in Turkey and how this is going to have global consequences for the financial markets. So Turkish central bank and lenders meet before markets open. So this is breaking news. They know there's going to be more panic this week. People are going to do bank runs. There's going to be run on the banks. Interest rates are skyrocketing. A lot of these lenders could go bust, and that could have domino effects for the whole financial system. So Turkish central bank officials held a technical meeting with commercial lenders on Sunday to prepare for potential market volatility after a key opposition politician was formally arrested. So central bank officials will discuss possible coordination with banks and take stock of the recent sell-off in the Turkish markets. The meetings mark one of the first high-level gatherings between the nation's lenders and monetary authorities since Istanbul's popular mayor Ekrem was taken into custody earlier this week, rattling markets. Now, the lira, Turkish stocks, and debt markets posted some of the world's biggest declines as investors weighed the risk of potential reversal in Turkish economic policies, or Turkey's economic policies, should I say. So we're seeing this is the worst in the entire world happening right now in a major economy like Turkey. So if you think we're not going to feel any of this, we definitely will. It's just a matter of time. So the Treasury and Finance Minister met with banks on Friday, telling them that policymakers would use all the tools at their disposal to mitigate what he says was temporal volatility in the markets. And again, this is what they have to say. They have to calm the panic. They have to go out there and say everything's fine, just like they did in 2008 before everything absolutely collapsed. Now, the central bank also stepped up its defense mechanisms of the lira in the past week to ensure financial conditions remain tight, and it lifted its overnight lending rate by 200 basis points, so that's 2%, to 46%. So can you imagine if interest rates in the US and Australia just went to 10%, the amount of chaos we'd see? Well, inflation has gone so bad, they've had to lift interest rates to 47%. The average cost of funding for commercial lenders as well, it's suspended lending to its lower benchmark. It's suspended lending at its lower benchmark rate of 42.5% for unspecified period. So we don't know how long this is going to last. Things are escalating by the day. The bank also said it will hold a liquidity bill auction with 91-day maturity, the first of such auction in nearly 2 decades, aimed at absorbing excess lira. Following the moves, the lira overnight reference rate, a gauge of the cost of overnight funding, rose more than 3% points to 45.7. So we can see here things are escalating. The Turkish lira is continuing to collapse. So maybe there'll be more bros doing hair transplants in Turkey next year. Who knows? But we're seeing here, again, stocks are crashing. We'll have to see what happens at the open if things get worse. But Reuters also put out this story that Turkey's markets rout worsens amid protests, and this is the worst stock slump since 2008. So make no mistakes, we're seeing early signs of a financial crisis, in my opinion, with inflation still stubbornly high, with central banks lowering interest rates, but they're going to either devalue their currency or have to lift interest rates to stop this next wave of inflation. We're seeing economic conditions deteriorate. The cost of living throughout all major economies around the world is impossible. People's earnings can't cover the basics like rent, groceries, utilities, etc., and people are giving up on this economy. So again, Turkish stocks were set for their worst week since the aftermath of the 2008 Lehman Brothers collapse on Friday, as concerns this week detention of President Tayyip Erdogan's main political rival refused to subside. The lira was set for a 4% weekly slump despite aggressive action from Turkey's central bank in recent days, while the latest sell-off in stocks triggered 2 main market-wide circuit breakers on the Borsa in Istanbul. And I'll go ahead and bring up this chart here. We can see here, this is all the major stock markets in the world. We can see India's up the most, up 5.1%, South Korea up 3.7%. But out of the worst performers, the second worst was Indonesia, down 3%. But we can see here Turkey is massively down compared to the rest of these stock markets around the world. So Turkey's sovereign dollar bonds also slid for the third straight day, with a longer dated issue shedding 2 cents and on track for a weekly loss of more than 3 cents, their largest since January 2024. Now, the central bank sold some $10 billion in foreign exchange reserves after Wednesday's record low, according to economists' calculations, and took liquidity measures to limit volatility and ease the FX demand. So everyone, I know what you're thinking, well, okay, what does this mean in simple terms? Well, what this means is Turkey people are losing faith in their economy. In Turkey, they're losing faith in the Turkish financial system. They're losing faith in the political system there. People are selling off the currency. Their stock market collapsing. Their banking system is collapsing. And if Turkey suffers a big financial crisis, this will affect sentiment across global markets. And something like this could easily happen here. We see with these economies, all it relies on is confidence. But what are we also seeing in the markets, and what can we do to protect ourselves? while we're seeing gold continue to hit new all-time highs. It hit around $3,000.50 an ounce, and I think it could possibly go to $4,000 an ounce this year in 2025 as fiat currencies begin to plummet. And this is going to trigger another commodities bull market as people want real resources, real assets, and I now want to talk about the next part of my video, and that is the uranium markets. So on January 20th, 2025, the future of any production around the world and around the globe experienced a significant shift. Donald Trump's National Energy Declaration on Inauguration Day was designed to expedite approvals for energy infrastructure, including nuclear power. The United States is the world's biggest consumer of nuclear energy for civilian purposes. The thing is, it did prioritize mining uranium, unlike its neighbor to the north. Trump knows nuclear energy must play a pivotal role in the future and must be shaking his head, in my view, at how Canada, the second largest producer in the world, while the country he leads has only a couple of operational mines. So President Trump's pick to head the US Energy Department, Chris Wright, has said he sees nuclear power as part of domestic energy strategy. Right to the north of its border in Saskatchewan, Canada, resides one of the world's most promising uranium jurisdictions, the Athabasca Basin. Experts project that Canada's national uranium production could double by 2030. And that's why I want to talk about today's video sponsor, Mustang Energy. That's stock ticker symbol MECPF. Now, Mustang Energy, which is focused on Canada's Athabasca Basin, owns 8 projects and has set forth their 2025 drilling program. Also, tech giants are increasingly turning to nuclear energy. Companies like Amazon, Alphabet, and Oracle have invested in small modular reactors, that's SMR technology. Additionally, Meta announced plans for a $10 billion AI data center. And what's interesting about their entire situation is the uranium spot price is down 36% from its peak, meaning that this is potentially a great time to conduct due diligence on Mustang Energy. Now, nuclear is the only reliable carbon-free source that can meet demand. AI data centers are projected to consume 8 times more energy by 2030. Now let's focus on Mustang Energy, which owns numerous projects in the Athabasca Basin and plans to drill in the months ahead. Mustang's energy potential is significant because its projects are located in the Athabasca Basin, which is close to major uranium discoveries. And the uranium sector is experiencing a renaissance, in my view, and uranium is back. Because the Athabasca Basin in northern Saskatchewan maintains its position year after year as North America's primary leader in the uranium industry. It hosts the world's highest grade deposits and mines. Canada could become the largest producer of uranium in the world, and that is a real possibility. And that is why I love the Athabasca Basin in terms of finding new ideas to present to you. Now, Cameco CEO Tim Gritz has said that Canada could be a nuclear superpower, and demand is rising because 22 countries pledged at the COP28 to triple nuclear capacity by 2050, and tech giants are choosing nuclear power to meet their demand for their data centers. Now, 74 reactors are under construction or being refurbished globally. And Mustang Energy is a pure play uranium exploration company focused on Canada's Athabasca Basin, one of the world's most valuable uranium regions, according to many. And this is my first uranium company that I'm featuring during the Trump nuclear renaissance. Now, their December 2024 option agreement with Sky Harbor Resources for the 914W uranium projects, that's 3,191 hectares near Cameco's past producing Key Lake mine, shows savvy deal making, in my view. Canada's government is serious about becoming the world's #1 uranium producer, and Minister Wilkinson's domestically sourced uranium focus directly benefits Mustang Saskatchewan-centric strategy. Now again, the stock ticker symbol MECPF. Best traits are its Athabasca Basin foothold, uranium market timing, and aligned with Canada's nuclear ambitions. And some of its key projects are the Fort Lake Project, Cigar Lake East, Yellowstone and Yellowstone East, Dutton, Spur, and 914W. So Mustang Energy, again, that stock ticker symbol MECPF, definitely looks very promising in my view, so go ahead and start doing your due diligence today. But everyone, what do you think about all of this? Let me know down below. Now, for my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.